The water hit her face like a punch. Full pressure. Relentless. She couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. Couldn't do anything except drown on her own front lawn while her neighbors watched in horror. "Maybe this will teach you some respect," the officer shouted, standing over her with her own garden hose turned into a weapon. 47 seconds of water torture. 47 seconds that would destroy his career, expose a corrupt system, and change an entire city's police force forever. But he didn't know who she was. And that mistake would cost him everything. Thursday morning, January 18th, 2025. Seattle, Washington. The sun climbed over Windermere, one of Seattle's most exclusive neighborhoods. Tree-lined streets with craftsman homes worth millions. Manicured lawns maintained by professional services. Mercedes and Teslas in every driveway. 3421, Ashwood Lane sat quiet in the morning light. A two-story colonial, soft blue with white shutters. A rose garden along the brick walkway. Every bloom perfect. White hydrangeas in ceramic pots flanked the double doors. Inside, Dr. Nicole Chambers poured her second cup of coffee. The kitchen smelled like Ethiopian roast and lemon verbena. Jazz played softly from the speaker on the granite counter. Miles Davis, her favorite for Thursday mornings. She was 43 years old. Dark brown skin, natural hair in defined curls pulled back with a silk scarf. No makeup yet. She wore faded jeans and a comfortable navy sweater. Gardening clothes. Her leather briefcase sat by the door, packed with case files. Oral arguments scheduled for 2 p.m. at the federal courthouse downtown. But first, the roses needed attention. She glanced at the photo on the refrigerator. Her and Marcus at their anniversary dinner. Her husband, Dr. Marcus Chambers, neurosurgeon at Swedish Medical Center. He'd left for the hospital at 5:30 a.m. Thursday surgeries always started early. Nicole walked to the front door and opened it. Cool Seattle air rushed in, carrying the scent of cedar and rain-washed earth. She breathed deep. This was her sanctuary. Before the courtroom, before the legal battles, just her and the garden. She grabbed the coiled green hose from beside the porch steps, turned on the spigot. Water rushed through with a satisfying sound. She adjusted the nozzle to a gentle mist. The roses drank gratefully. She moved methodically, giving each plant individual attention. The soil darkened as moisture soaked in. "Good morning, Nicole." Patricia Morrison waved from next door. She was 76, white hair pinned elegantly, wearing a cashmere cardigan despite the mild weather. Her own garden shears in hand. "Morning, Patricia. Your hydrangeas are stunning this year." "Oh, yours put mine to shame, dear." Patricia laughed warmly. "That fertilizer you recommended worked like magic." This was their routine. 5 years of it. Coffee together on Saturday mornings. Emergency contacts for packages. Patricia had house sat when Nicole and Marcus went to Bali last summer. Nicole moved to the hydrangeas, humming along to the jazz still playing inside. Her mind was already organizing today's case. A complex civil rights lawsuit involving police misconduct. She needed to stay razor-sharp. She didn't hear the patrol car slow to a stop across the street. Didn't see Officer Brandon Hayes behind the wheel, watching her with narrowed eyes. Hayes was 39, buzz cut going gray at the temples, square jaw, 17 years with Seattle PD. His hands gripped the steering wheel tight. His jaw clenched. "You seeing this?" he muttered. His partner, Officer David Chun, looked up from his phone. Chun was 26, fresh-faced, barely a year out of the academy. "Seeing what?" "Black woman. $1 million house." Hayes's voice was flat. "Doesn't add up." Chun shifted uncomfortably. "Brandon, come on. It's just someone watering their garden." "In Windermere?" Hayes put the car in park. "Something's off. I'm checking it out. The sergeant said we need to be more careful. Community relations. Community relations can kiss my ass." Hayes opened his door. "I've been doing this job 17 years. I know suspicious when I see it." Chun watched him cross the street, didn't follow. His stomach twisted. This felt wrong. But Hayes was the senior officer, the training officer. Chun was still on probation. Hayes's boots hit the sidewalk hard. Deliberate. His hand rested on his belt, near his gun, near his cuffs. Nicole glanced up, saw the uniform, the badge. She straightened, turned off the hose spray. "Good morning, officer. Can I help you?" Her voice was calm, professional. The same voice she used in federal court. But her pulse quickened. She'd done nothing wrong. Still, her grip tightened on the hose. Hayes stopped at the decorative fence. Didn't ask permission. Stepped right over it, onto her property, onto her lawn. What are you doing here? His voice was cold, accusatory. Nicole blinked. I'm watering my garden. Is there a problem? Your garden. He looked at the house, then back at her. His eyes narrowed with suspicion. This is your house. The way he said your made her skin prickle. Yes, I live here. Why are you asking? Hayes took another step closer, invading her space, making himself bigger, more threatening. Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some identification. Nicole's heart pounded. She was a federal judge. She knew the law better than most attorneys in the state. And right now, this officer had absolutely no legal justification to demand her ID. Officer, I'm on my own property. I don't have to show you identification. Hayes's face hardened. His hand stayed near his belt. Ma'am, don't make this difficult. I'm not making anything difficult. I'm asking why you're on my property demanding identification when I've committed no crime. He stepped closer. She could smell his cologne. Cheap, overpowering. We've had reports of suspicious activity in this neighborhood. I need to verify you live here. Suspicious activity? Nicole's voice remained controlled despite her rising anger. Hay water and flowers. Exactly. His eyes traveled over her dismissively. You don't look like you belong in this neighborhood. The words hung in the air, sharp and ugly. Nicole's jaw tightened. She'd heard versions of this her entire life, but never on her own front lawn. What does someone who belongs here look like, officer? The confrontation had begun, and it was about to get much, much worse. Hayes's eyes flashed with anger. Don't play games with me. Are you the homeowner or the help? Patricia Morrison's voice cut in from next door, firm and clear. Officer, Nicole lives there. She's been my neighbor for 5 years. Hayes turned, his voice rising. Ma'am, step back. This is police business. Police business? Patricia's aristocratic tone carried authority. She's watering her own garden. One more word, and I'll cite you for interfering with an investigation. Patricia's mouth opened, then closed. Instead, she pulled out her iPhone and started recording, her hands shaking slightly. Nicole forced her voice to stay level, professional. Officer, I'm happy to answer reasonable questions, but you've given me no legal justification for this stop. Legal justification? Hayes laughed, a cold, ugly sound. You want to give me legal advice now? I'm simply asserting my constitutional rights. Your rights? He moved closer, inches from her face. How about I tell you what your rights are? You have the right to cooperate. You have the right to not piss me off. That clear enough? Chin appeared at the fence line, his face pale. Brandon, maybe we should. Mills, get back to the car. Hayes didn't even look at him. I'm handling this. Chin hesitated, then retreated. Nicole watched him go. No help there. Across the street, a young couple stopped their morning jog. The woman pulled out her phone, started filming. 2 houses down, an elderly man stepped onto his porch, arms crossed, watching. Hayes noticed the growing audience. It made him angrier, more aggressive. All right, here's what's going to happen. You're going to show me proof you live here. Deed, mortgage papers, utility bills, something. Those documents are inside. Then let's go inside and get them. You want to enter my home? Nicole's legal training kicked in automatically. Do you have a warrant? His face reddened. I don't need a warrant if you invite me in. I'm not inviting you in. Then I'm detaining you until we sort this out. On what grounds? Trespassing? On my own property. That's what I'm trying to determine, ma'am. Nicole's mind raced. She could go inside, get her federal judicial credentials, end this in seconds. But anger burned in her chest, white-hot, righteous anger. Why should she have to prove anything? She was standing in her own yard, doing absolutely nothing wrong. Officer, I want your name and badge number. Hayes touched his nameplate slowly, deliberately. Hayes, badge 5194. Write it down. I'll wait. I will. Trust me. Ooh, a threat. His smile was cruel. Everyone see that? She just threatened a police officer. A teenager on a bicycle rolled up. A black kid, maybe 17. He pulled out his phone, pointed it at Hayes. I'm recording this for the record, officer. Hayes spoon. Put that phone away. It's my right to record police in public. This is private property, kid. Get lost before I arrest you too. The teen didn't move, just kept recording. His screen showed viewer counts climbing. 52. 89. 147. Hayes's radio crackled. He ignored it. Last chance, lady. Show me ID or I'm taking you in for questioning. Nicole's hands shook. Not from fear, from rage. Taking me in for what? Failure to identify. Obstruction. I haven't obstructed anything. You've refused every lawful request I've made. Your requests aren't lawful, Officer Hayes. They're based on racial profiling, and we both know it. There you go again, playing lawyer. His voice dripped with condescension. What are you, some paralegal? Secretary at a law firm. The casual dismissal in his tone made her blood boil. I work in the justice system, yes. Hayes laughed. Let me guess. Court secretary? Filing clerk. He looked her up and down with undisguised contempt. No, wait, you clean the courthouse bathrooms, don't you? Patricia gasped from her porch. The elderly man across the street shook his head. The teenager's live stream hit 380 viewers. Officer, you're making a serious mistake. The only mistake here is you thinking you can afford a place like this. He gestured at the house. $1 million home. Perfect roses. You expect me to believe this is yours. Why wouldn't I be able to afford it? Because people like you. He stopped himself. Almost. People like me what? Nicole's voice was deadly calm. Say it out loud, officer. For all these cameras. His face darkened. Don't push me. I'm not pushing. I'm standing in my own yard. The garden hose was still in her hand, water dripping from the nozzle. She'd turned it off when he first approached. Hayes saw the hose. His eyes narrowed. Put that down. It's a garden hose, officer. Put it down. Now. She set it gently on the grass, water pooling around it. Step away from it. You can't be serious. Do I look like I'm joking? Step away. She took one step back, her mind reeling. This is insane. It's a garden hose. Hayes keyed his radio. 5 Lincoln, 12 to dispatch. Requesting backup at 3421 Ashwood Lane. Uncooperative subject. Possible trespassing. Static crackled. Copy 5 Lincoln 12. Nature of the call. Subject refusing to identify. Confrontational behavior. Brandon, don't. Chen's voice carried from the patrol car. More neighbors emerged. A woman in yoga clothes. A man walking a golden retriever. Another teenager joined the first one, both phones raised, both filming. Nicole looked at the crowd. At Patricia with tears forming in her eyes. At the young couple holding hands, phones raised in solidarity. At the elderly man nodding at her, silent support. She looked at Hayes. This man with a badge and a gun and 17 years of unchecked power. And she made a decision. Officer Hayes, I'm going to reach into my back pocket now, slowly, to get my identification. Keep your hands where I can see them. My ID is in my back pocket. I need to reach for it. Fine. Slow movements. His hand moved to his gun. Any sudden moves and... He let the threat hang. The crowd murmured. Someone shouted. He's threatening her. Nicole moved carefully, deliberately. But as she shifted her weight, her foot caught the garden hose lying on the wet grass. She stumbled. The hose jerked. Water sprayed up from the nozzle. A few drops, maybe a tablespoon, hit Hayes's pants leg. Barely noticeable. A small splash on his dark uniform. He looked down at the wet spot. His face transformed into pure, uncontrolled rage. Did you just assault me? What? No, I tripped on the hose. You just assaulted a police officer. Hayes's voice rose to a shout. Officer, that was an accident. I stumbled. I saw it. You deliberately sprayed me. That's not what happened. He lunged forward, grabbed the garden hose from the ground. His movements were sharp, violent, fueled by rage. Chun ran from the patrol car. Brandon, stop. Hayes twisted the nozzle. The gentle mist changed to a full jet. Maximum pressure. Nicole saw it coming, her hands raised defensively. Don't you dare. The water hit her face. The force of it was stunning, shocking, brutal. She raised her hands, too late. Water pounded her chest, her shoulders. Cold, violent, relentless. She tried to turn away. He followed her with the stream like a predator tracking prey. You think you can assault me? He screamed. You think you're special? The water pressure knocked her backward. She tripped over the rose bushes, fell hard onto the grass. The impact drove the air from her lungs. He stood over her, still spraying. Water flooded her face. She couldn't breathe, couldn't see, couldn't do anything except choke. Maybe this will teach you some respect. She was on the ground, gasping, choking on water. Her hands covered her face. It didn't help. The pressure was too strong. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Stop it. Patricia screamed from her porch. You're drowning her. 40 seconds. Her blouse plastered to her skin. Her jeans soaked through. Water filled her ears, her nose, her mouth. She couldn't scream, could barely breathe. Finally, he released the trigger. Silence, except for her gasping, desperate attempts to breathe. She sat in a puddle on her own lawn. Water streamed from her hair, her clothes. Mascara ran in black rivers down her cheeks. Her briefcase had fallen open on the driveway. Papers floating in puddles, legal documents ruined. Hayes tossed the hose aside. He was breathing hard, smiling. Maybe that'll wash some of that attitude off you, sweetheart. The crowd erupted. Shouting. Phones everywhere. At least 15 people recording now. The teenage live streamer's screen showed 3,200 viewers. Chun stood frozen, his face pale with horror. Patricia sobbed on her porch. Nicole sat there, destroyed, humiliated in front of her neighbors in her own yard. Then slowly, she pushed herself up. Water dripped from every part of her body. She wiped her face, looked at Hayes. Her voice, when she spoke, was quiet, deadly calm. "Officer Hayes, you have made the worst mistake of your career." He laughed. "Is that a threat?" "No. That's a promise." She reached into her back pocket. The wet denim made it difficult, but she got her fingers around it. Pulled it out. A metal badge case. Water dripped from the leather. She opened it slowly. The gold seal caught the sunlight. Federal Judicial Credencials. Her photo. Official seal of the United States courts. She held it up for Hayes to see. For the cameras to see. For everyone to witness. "I am Dr. Nicole Chambers, United States Circuit Judge for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals." The color drained from Hayes's face like someone had opened a valve. His mouth opened. Closed. No sound came out. Nicole's voice cut through the silence like a blade. "You just physically assaulted a federal judge on her own property in front of 40 witnesses." His hand trembled. The badge case gleamed in the morning light. Colseal. Official photo. Unmistakable. That's fake," he stammered. "Has to be fake." Chin ran up, phone already out, typing frantically. His face went from pale to gray. "Brandon." His voice shook. "Oh God, Brandon. She's real." He turned his phone around. Judge Nicole Chambers' official court portrait filled the screen. Black robes, American flag backdrop, same face, same woman standing soaking wet before them. Appointed 2021. Confirmed by Senate 87-12. Currently presiding over Martinez versus Seattle Police Department. That last part hit different. Hayes snatched the phone, stared at the screen. His breathing accelerated. Became shallow. "I didn't. How was I supposed to?" Patricia's voice rang out, strong despite her tears. "I tried to tell you. I tried to warn you." The teenage live streamer zoomed in on Hayes's face. View count. 5,100. Comments flooding in. "Yo, this cop is done. He just assaulted a federal judge. Career over in 3, 2, 1. The elderly man walked across his lawn, stood at the fence line. His voice carried authority. "I am Gerald Matthews, retired federal prosecutor. I witnessed everything. Officer Hayes committed multiple felonies. Battery, deprivation of civil rights under color of law, assault with a weapon. All thoroughly documented. More neighbors flooded out now. A nurse in scrubs just getting home from night shift. A woman in a business suit, coffee mug forgotten in her hand. An elderly couple holding hands. All of them watching. All of them recording." Nicole wiped water from her face. Her voice stayed controlled, lethal. "Officer Chun, what is your badge number?" Chun straightened immediately. 3147, Your Honor." "Thank you. You witnessed everything that just occurred." "Correct. Yes, Your Honor." His voice barely audible. "And you attempted to stop your partner." "Correct. Yes, Your Honor. I tried." Hayes spun on him. "Shut up, Chun." "No." Chun took a step back. "No, Brandon. I'm not going down with you." Nicole pulled her phone from her other pocket. Miraculously, it had survived in a waterproof case. She tapped the screen. Still worked. "I'm calling Police Chief Maria Torres directly." Hayes's knees buckled. He caught himself on the fence. "Your Honor, please, I didn't know. If you'd known I was a judge, you wouldn't have assaulted me." "Is that what you're saying?" He swallowed hard. Said nothing. "So if I was a secretary, like you assumed, this would have been acceptable?" "No, I mean that's not." "Choose your next words very carefully, officer." Her phone rang once. Twice. A voice answered. "Chief Torres." Nicole put it on speaker. Everyone could hear. "Chief, this is Judge Nicole Chambers. I need you to come to my home immediately. 3421, Ashwood Lane. One of your officers just physically assaulted me in my front yard. The silence on the other end stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Then Chief Torres's voice, tight with barely controlled fury. What officer? Brandon Hayes. Badge 5194. Another pause. Longer this time. Jesus Christ. The chief's voice was quiet. Dangerous. Judge, I'm 8 minutes away. Is the officer still on scene? He is. Don't let him leave. I'm coming with internal affairs. Thank you, Chief. Nicole held the phone toward Hayes. She'd like to speak with you. His hand shook so badly he nearly dropped it. Officer Brandon Hayes lifted his phone with shaking hands. Chief Torres's angry voice came through the line for everyone to hear. Hayes, what the hell did you do? Chief, it was a misunderstanding. You assaulted a federal judge. I didn't know she was. So if she wasn't a judge, that makes it okay? Hayes froze. No, ma'am. Please. Badge and gun. Now. You're suspended immediately. His face fell apart. Chief, please. I have a family. You had a badge. You don't anymore. Put Judge Chambers back on. He handed the phone to Nicole Chambers with a trembling hand. She listened quietly, nodded, and hung up. She turned to the crowd, now over 60 people strong. Cars had stopped. Neighbors stood on porches. Everyone who recorded this, please save your videos. Investigators will contact you. Yes, Your Honor, voices answered. A young couple approached. Judge Chambers, we have it from 3 angles, the woman said. Thank you, Nicole replied. A teenager holding a phone spoke next. Your Honor, I'm live. 15,000 watching. Should I keep streaming? Nicole thought for a moment. Yes. Keep it going. The truth deserves light. Hayes collapsed to his knees on the wet grass. Your Honor, please, he cried. I made a terrible mistake. Nicole stood tall despite being soaked and shivering. You didn't make a mistake, she said coldly. You made choices. You profiled me. You humiliated me. You assaulted me. Because you saw a black woman and decided she didn't belong. Tears streamed down his face. News vans arrived. A reporter, Amy Lou from King 5 News, stepped out. Judge Chambers, can you tell us what happened? Nicole faced the camera. Her voice was steady. My name is Dr. Nicole Chambers. I'm a United States Circuit Judge. This morning, I was watering flowers in my own yard when Officer Hayes stopped me. He said I didn't look like I belonged here. He demanded proof I lived here. Then he assaulted me with a hose while I was on the ground for 47 seconds. Amy Lou's face showed disbelief. He did this because I'm a black woman, Nicole said. Because people like him can't imagine that I could live here on my own merit. Behind her, Hayes's phone buzzed with messages. His family, his friends, watching everything collapse live online. This isn't just about me, Nicole continued. It's about every person of color told they don't belong. A black SUV arrived. FBI agent Rachel Kim stepped out, badge in hand. Judge Chambers, I'm with the Civil Rights Division. We'll be filing federal charges. Nicole nodded and turned back to the cameras. Officer Hayes will face justice. But he's not the real problem. The system that allowed him to act this way is. Another car arrived, Seattle Police Chief Maria Torres. She walked over, furious but controlled. Judge Chambers, she said, I am so sorry. Your apologies mean nothing without action, Nicole replied. You'll have action. Torres turned to Hayes. Brandon Hayes. Badge and gun. Now. He slowly stood. His partner took his badge and weapon. The chief held them up for everyone to see. 17 years of service, she said, ended by 1 hour of hate and abuse. Hayes stared blankly. Everything was gone. Officer Hayes, Nicole said firmly, you violated federal law, Title 18, Section 242. Deprivation of rights under color of law. That's up to 10 years in prison. You also violated state laws, assault, misconduct, and hate crime statutes. Agent Kim wrote quickly. Judge, for the record, what did he say? Nicole's voice stayed calm. He said I didn't belong here. Asked if a drug dealer paid for my house. Threatened to call immigration. Asked if I was the maid. Agent Kim nodded. That confirms racial bias. A man stepped forward. Gerald Matthews, former assistant U.S. attorney. I'll testify. This is clear racial profiling. Chief Torres spoke into her radio. Place him in custody. Now. A patrol car arrived. Sergeant Vincent Thompson, a veteran black officer, stepped out. He looked furious and ashamed. Judge Chambers, on behalf of every good cop, I'm sorry, he said. Preserve everything as evidence, she replied. Already done, he said. Hayes stood silently, no badge, no authority. Just a man who destroyed his own life. Brandon, Thompson said softly. Let's go. Hayes didn't move. Your Honor, please. My wife and daughters, Sophia's 9, Emma's 6, they need me. Nicole looked at him one last time. You should have thought of Sophia and Emma before you decided to terrorize someone else's mother in her own yard. The words hit harder than any punishment could. And for the first time, Officer Hayes had nothing left to say. A car screeched into the driveway, a white Honda CR-V. A woman jumped out, late 30s, wearing purple scrubs with cartoon characters on them. Brown hair pulled back in a hasty ponytail. Christina Hayes. Brandon. She ran toward him, then stopped. Saw the cameras. The crowd. The federal agent. The chief of police. The wet, dignified black woman holding federal credentials. What did you do? He couldn't look at her. Couldn't speak. Chin stepped forward, explained quietly. Christina's face cycled through confusion, to disbelief, to horror, to rage. You assaulted a federal judge? Her voice rose to a scream. A judge. Christina, I didn't know. Even if she wasn't a judge. Tears streamed down her face, angry tears. You sprayed someone with a hose in her own yard. You attacked a woman for watering flowers. It was a mistake. The girls are going to see this. She was crying openly now. Sophia is going to see her father attacking an innocent woman. How do I explain this to them? She turned to Nicole, walked over, stood before her with her hands clasped together. Your Honor, I'm so sorry. So deeply, deeply sorry. Nicole's voice softened slightly for the first time. Mrs. Hayes, you're not responsible for his choices. But I'm responsible for what I teach my children. Christina looked back at the cameras, at Amy Lou's news crew still recording. She made a decision. She walked directly to the camera. I'm Christina Hayes. Brandon is my husband. Her voice shook but stayed clear. What he did today was racist, abusive, and unforgivable. I stand with Judge Chambers. I stand against everything he did here. The crowd murmured in shock. Hayes stared at his wife, devastated. Christina, don't. She walked to her car without looking back. Started the engine. Drove away. The silence that followed was crushing. Chief Torres broke it. Judge Chambers, are you pressing charges? Federal charges. State charges. Every applicable charge under the law. The FBI will take the lead on federal prosecution, Agent Kim said. The King County Prosecutor's Office will handle state charges. Chief, Nicole's voice was steel. How many complaints has Officer Hayes had filed against him? Torres looked at Sergeant Thompson. He pulled out his phone, accessed the internal database. His face went gray. 14 excessive force complaints. 41 documented stops of minorities in affluent neighborhoods. 4 settled lawsuits. The city has paid out $1.8 million in taxpayer money. The crowd erupted in angry shouts. How was he still on the street? Who protected him? We want answers. Chief Torres held up her hand. That's exactly what we're going to investigate. Every complaint. Every settlement. Every supervisor who signed off on keeping him active. Promises aren't enough, Nicole said firmly. I want action. Reform. This must be the last time someone is terrorized in their own neighborhood by someone who's supposed to protect them. You have my word, Judge Chambers. Words got us here, Chief. Action gets us out. A Tesla pulled into the driveway. Dr. Marcus Chambers jumped out before the car fully stopped. Ran to his wife. Nicole. She collapsed into his arms. The strength that had held her upright finally cracked. She shook against him. I've got you, he whispered. I've got you. He looked at Hayes with eyes blazing with rage. You're lucky there are witnesses and cameras here. Marcus. Nicole's voice was muffled against his chest. Let the law handle it. He breathed deep, forced himself to calm. Held his wife tighter. Sergeant Thompson moved in. Brandon, time to go. Don't make me cuff you in front of all these people. Hayes stood on shaking legs. Looked at Nicole one last time. I know you won't believe me, but I'm truly sorry. She lifted her head from Marcus's shoulder. You're right. I don't believe you. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry there were cameras. Sorry I wasn't who you assumed I was. That's not. You're sorry you can't get away with it this time. Thompson guided him toward the patrol car. Not in handcuffs. Not yet, but everyone knew they were coming. The crowd parted. Some jeered. Some filmed. Some just stared. Hayes got in the back seat. The door closed. His face was blank through the window, shock replacing everything else. The car pulled away slowly. Everyone watched until it disappeared around the corner. Nicole turned to face all the cameras. Not just Amy Lou's news crew, but a dozen phones, still recording, still streaming. What happened today will not be swept away. Not minimized. Not forgotten. Her voice carried across the silent street, strong and clear despite everything she'd endured. Every video, every witness statement, every piece of evidence will ensure Brandon Hayes faces the full weight of justice. But more importantly, it will force a system to change. A system that let him operate for 17 years, that ignored 14 complaints, that paid nearly $2 million to keep his victims quiet. She paused, looked directly into the camera. I'm a federal judge. I have power, resources, legal knowledge. And still I was attacked. Still assumed to be a criminal in my own yard. If this happens to me, imagine what happens to those without my advantages. Those who can't fight back. Those who don't have credentials to reveal. Those who the system doesn't listen to. The crowd was completely silent. This is not the end. This is the beginning of accountability, of reform, of real change. Thank you to everyone who recorded this, who witnessed it, who refused to look away. You didn't just save me today. You might have saved the next person he would have terrorized. She wrapped Marcus's jacket tighter around her shoulders. Change happens when people refuse to accept injustice. Today, 60 people refused to accept it. And the whole world is watching. Spontaneous applause erupted. It started with Patricia, then Mr. Matthews, then spread through the entire crowd. People who'd been strangers an hour ago, united in this moment. Nicole turned to Agent Kim. I'm ready to give my formal statement for the federal case. Let's go inside where it's warm. You need to change into dry clothes. Actually, Nicole looked at her soaked sweater, her ruined jeans. I want to be photographed like this first. For the evidence file. I want there to be no question about what he did. Agent Kim nodded with grim respect. Crime scene photographer is here. For the next 40 minutes, Nicole stood in her wet clothes while photographers documented everything. The soaked fabric. The mascara tracks. The trampled roses. The scattered legal documents. The garden hose. Now evidence in a federal case. Patricia brought her a blanket and hot tea. Mr. Matthews took detailed notes. The teenage live streamers count hit 47,000 viewers. By the time Nicole finally went inside to change, the story had already gone viral. Hashtag Justice for Judge Chambers was trending nationally. The video had been shared 230,000 times. Every major news network was picking it up. And in a patrol car heading to Seattle Police Headquarters, Brandon Hayes sat in the back seat, watching his entire life crumble through the window. 17 years of policing. Gone. His marriage. Probably over. His freedom. About to be taken away. All because he saw a black woman watering flowers and refused to believe she belonged there. 2 months later, March 20th, 2025, King County Superior Court was packed beyond capacity. Every seat filled. People standing in the aisles. Media credentials from 17 news organizations. Court TV broadcasting live gavel to gavel. Brandon Hayes sat at the defense table in an ill-fitting suit, a public defender beside him. His private attorney had quit after the retainer money ran out. Christina had filed for divorce 3 days after the incident. She'd taken the girls to her sister's house in Spokane. He'd lost 60 pounds. His face was gaunt, eyes hollow. The swagger was gone, replaced by the hollow shell of a man who knew exactly what was coming. Judge Robert Chin presided. Stern, methodical, fair. He looked down at the defendant with no visible emotion. Mr. Hayes, you've been convicted by jury of assault in the 2nd degree, official misconduct under color of law, and malicious harassment. Washington's hate crime statute. Do you have anything to say before I impose sentence? Hayes stood on shaking legs. His lawyer had advised him to express remorse. To beg for mercy. Your Honor, his voice cracked. I destroyed my life. My family. I hurt an innocent woman who was just living her life. I have no excuse. No justification. What I did was evil. Judge Chen's expression didn't change. Mr. Hayes, in 23 years on this bench, I've rarely seen such a clear-cut case of abuse of power combined with racial bias. You didn't just assault Judge Chambers. You assaulted the principles of equal justice under law. He opened the sentencing file. The state recommends 48 months. The federal charges are being handled separately, and those sentences will run consecutively. But today, I'm addressing your state convictions. Hayes closed his eyes. I sentence you to 60 months in state prison. That's 5 years, Mr. Hayes. Additionally, you are permanently barred from any law enforcement position in the United States. You will complete mandatory racial bias counseling. Upon release, you will serve 5 years of supervised probation. Additionally, you will pay $175,000 in restitution to Judge Chambers for emotional distress, property damage, and legal fees. Hayes collapsed into his chair. Bailiff, please remand the defendant. 2 officers, both people of color, put Hayes in handcuffs. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. As they led him away, he looked back one time. Nicole sat in the gallery, Marcus beside her. She watched him go with no visible emotion. Just quiet, satisfied justice. The door closed behind him. Outside the courtroom, Nicole stood at a podium surrounded by microphones. Amy Lou front and center. Cameras from every network. Today, Brandon Hayes received 5 years in state prison. Next week, he'll be sentenced in federal court for civil rights violations. Another 8 to 10 years. That's 13 to 15 years total. She paused, letting that sink in. But this isn't just about one officer. It's about systemic change. She pulled out a document. The city of Seattle has agreed to a comprehensive consent decree. These reforms include 1. Mandatory body cameras for all officers, always on, with automatic cloud upload. Deactivation results in immediate termination. 2. A civilian oversight board with independent investigative authority and subpoena power. 3. An early warning system using AI to flag officers with patterns of bias before they escalate. 4. Quarterly mandatory bias training conducted by community members and psychologists. 5. Immediate investigation of any complaint, with findings made public. 6. Ending qualified immunity protections for officers who violate clearly established rights. The reporters scribbled frantically. Additionally, I've established the Chambers Initiative, a foundation dedicated to empowering communities to document, report, and fight back against abuse of power. She held up a small device. We're distributing 5,000 body cameras to community members. Everyone has the right to record police interactions. We're training citizen journalists. We're providing free legal support to victims of police misconduct. A reporter called out. Judge Chambers, some say you're going too far, that you're anti-police. Nicole's response was immediate and firm. I'm not anti-police. I am pro accountability. Good officers, and there are thousands of them, should welcome these reforms. Bad officers should fear them. That's exactly how it should be. Another reporter. What message do you have for others who've experienced similar treatment? Document everything. Record when you can safely. Find witnesses. Report it. Don't stay silent. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. The system only changes when we demand it. 6 months later, September 2025, Seattle had transformed. Body camera compliance, 99.7%. Use of force incidents, down 52%. Civilian complaints, down 61%. Community trust in police, up 34% in 6 months. The Chambers Initiative had grown beyond anyone's expectations. $8.3 million in donations. Legal defense for 147 cases. 42 successful prosecutions or settlements. 6 officers fired, 3 arrested. Officer David Chun was promoted to sergeant at just 27. He now led the department's ethical intervention training program. I stayed silent when I should have spoken up, he told recruits in every class. I almost became complicit in a federal crime because I was afraid of my partner. Your duty is to the law and the community, not to your partner's ego or your own comfort. He'd become a national speaker on police ethics, consulting with 12 departments across the country. Patricia Morrison, 76, had become an unlikely activist. City council meetings. Police oversight board member. Mentor to young activists. I trusted police unconditionally for 76 years, she told a community forum. Nicole taught me that trust must be earned and maintained, not blindly given. That's not anti-police, that's pro-accountability. Mr. Gerald Matthews came out of retirement to join the Chambers Initiative legal team. He'd argued 4 cases to successful verdicts. The teenage live streamer, whose name was Marcus Chun, 17, had parlayed his viral video into a career. 890,000 YouTube subscribers. Documentary filmmaker. The garden hose incident had won a regional Emmy. Accepted to Howard University on a full scholarship. Double major. Criminal justice and digital media. He still live-streamed city council meetings, police oversight hearings, community forums. His footage had been used as evidence in 11 cases. Brandon Hayes, Oregon State Penitentiary, September 2025. Hayes worked in the prison library. Taught GED classes to other inmates. Attended weekly counseling sessions with Dr. Ramon Torres, a psychologist specializing in implicit bias. "Tell me what you see when you close your eyes," Dr. Torres asked during one session. "Her face," Hayes whispered. Judge Chambers. "Soaking wet. Looking at me with those eyes. Not afraid. Just disappointed. Like I'd failed some test I didn't know I was taking." "You did fail a test, Brandon. The test of your humanity. Your oath. Your basic decency." Hayes nodded, tears streaming. "I wrote her a letter. Apologizing. My lawyer says she hasn't read it. Her assistant just logs them for my parole file. Why do you think she won't read them? Because words are cheap. Actions matter. And my actions destroyed any credibility my words might have had." Dr. Torres made a note. After 9 months, Hayes was finally beginning to understand. His earliest possible release, 2038. He was 39 years old. He'd be 52 when he got out, if he got parole on the first try. Sophia would be 22. Emma would be 19. Would they even know him? Christina had remarried. A teacher. Good man. The girls called him Dad now. Hayes received photos quarterly. They looked happy. Healthy. Better off without him. That knowledge hurt more than the prison time. Nicole's garden, September 2025. The roses bloomed again. It had taken 4 months before Nicole could stand in her front yard without her hands shaking. Marcus had installed an irrigation system. No more hoses, too triggering. But slowly she'd reclaimed her space. Her sanctuary. She stood there on a Thursday morning, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise paint the Seattle sky pink and gold. Patricia waved from next door. "Morning, Nicole. Coffee on Sunday. Wouldn't miss it." Inside, her phone buzzed. An email from the Washington State Legislature. The Chambers Accountability Act had passed. Unanimous bipartisan support. Mandatory reforms for every police department in the state. Body cameras. Oversight boards. Early warning systems. Bias training. Everything she'd fought for, now law. Her doorbell rang. A delivery. Large box. She opened it carefully. Inside, 1,000 letters. Handwritten. From people across the country. "Your courage gave me courage. I reported my assault because of you. I recorded an illegal stop. The officer was fired. Thank you. My daughter sees you as a hero. So do I." Nicole sat on her porch steps, reading letter after letter. Marcus joined her, reading over her shoulder. "You changed the world," he said softly. "I just wanted to water my flowers." She smiled sadly. The world changed itself. It just needed permission. That evening, she gave a keynote address at the National Bar Association conference. 3,000 attorneys, judges, and legal professionals. "People ask me constantly, was it worth it? Having your trauma broadcast to millions? Living through that nightmare?" She paused, looked out at the sea of faces. It was never about worth. It was about necessity. Brandon Hayes saw a black woman and assumed powerlessness. "He was wrong about my personal power. But I had advantages, a title, resources, legal knowledge." Her voice strengthened. How many don't have those advantages? How many suffer in silence because they don't have federal credentials to reveal? This victory belongs to every person who's been profiled, harassed, abused by those who swore to protect them. Standing ovation. 3 minutes. When it finally quieted, she continued. To Eleanor Morrison, who spoke up when it was dangerous. To Marcus Chun, who documented when witnesses were needed. To David Chun, who found his conscience. To Mr. Matthews, who offered expertise. To every person who refused to look away. This is your victory too. She held up her phone. Everyone here has a camera. Everyone is a potential witness. Every voice matters. The next time you see injustice, what will you do? Will you record? Will you speak? Will you intervene? Silence. Heavy. Thoughtful. Be honest with yourselves. Then be better. Because justice doesn't happen by accident. It happens when ordinary people do extraordinary things in ordinary moments. She closed with the question that had become her rallying cry. Justice is a verb. How will you act? The applause was deafening.